the meeting to order. Please rise, salute the flag. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law and has been duly advertised in the newspaper as an official meeting. Roll call.
Mrs. Gardella.
Present.
Mr. McCarron.
Present.
Mrs. Barocas.
Present.
Dr. Osmond. Mrs. Rivera.
Present.
Mrs. Cass.
Present.
Mr. Palmieri.
Present. I need a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Gardella.
Yes.
Mr. McCarron.
Yes.
Mrs. Barocas.
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera.
Yes.
Mrs. Cass.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes. I now turn the meeting over to Mrs. Permilli for her superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Palmieri, and good evening, everyone. Today, we communicated to the community that we received written notification this afternoon that the board's unanimous rejection of the proposed budget has been overturned by the state monitor assigned to our district. There have been no changes to the budget that was presented last week, which means that the 24-25 budget will move forward as presented. This is not the budget we wanted. In fact, it is heartbreaking. However, we are bound by statutes that say no matter how many millions of dollars in funding we have lost, and no matter how much our circumstances, costs, and student needs have changed over the past 7 years, and no matter how responsible we have acted to keep this district afloat during this overwhelming loss of state aid, that we must present a balanced budget. To accomplish this mission impossible, we worked hard to preserve our programs and activities for our students. But in order to do that, we needed to make big sacrifices. The most significant of these sacrifices are the closing of the Rosenauer Elementary School and the loss of 70 positions we could not afford to lose without significantly impacting the operations of a district this large and the supports we need to provide our students. It saddens me that the district will have to endure these deep cuts, but it is necessary for us to begin to move forward. Together, we need to plan and prepare for our students returning in September. We also need to move forward strategically, planning for the future of this district, so we can continue to provide the best possible education to our students. It's important to remember that moving forward does not mean giving up, and we will continue to advocate strongly for the support of our students, families, and our taxpayers deserve. With that, tonight's meeting was for the purpose of voting on the personnel agenda items that were not voted on last week. Additionally, on the personnel items, there are also a few new personnel items that include resignations and new hires. With that, I turn it back to you, Mr. Palmieri.
Thank you, Ms. Permilli. I need a motion to open public forum on any topic pertaining to the Board of Education.
Motion. Second.
Please sign in and state your name and whether or not you are a Jackson resident. Each person is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. No person may speak more than once on a topic until all others have been heard. This will be the only open public session this evening, so if you'd like to say something, come up at this time.
I don't know how to turn it on. Oh, now is it good? All right. All right, good evening, everyone. I know the board, you've all received my email that I sent. My name is Nicole Koopman. I'm a teacher here at Sylvia Rosenauer, and I'm also a parent here in Jackson. So I know you all received my email, so I'm really just going to address Ms. Morris here. I actually did try to find your email somewhere, but no luck. I have been employed by the Jackson School District for almost 18 years, most of them spent at Rosenauer. I have been lucky to have worked with amazing coworkers, fantastic families, and the best principals in the district. Unlike all other schools in Jackson, it's a true neighborhood school. Most of the students walk to school. In addition, I believe that we have the most English language learners. That being said, many of the parents do not drive. The only contact that they have is with the school parent advocate before and after school, where they're jeopardizing their future education by putting these students on the bus and taking away their main communication with the school. Look around. You don't see many Rosenauer parents, and it's not because they don't care. It's because they can't get here. Others are so busy working 2 to 3 jobs that they can't come. And even for some, they can't read English, so they don't even know that we're closing. I went to Dollar General the other day, and I saw one of the younger students. When I mentioned that I was lucky enough to be going to Crawford with her, she didn't even understand what I was talking about. She was trying to ask her mom what was going on, and although I don't speak much Spanish, I was able to understand that the mom just kept telling her her school name was Rosenauer, not Crawford. My heart actually hurts for them. These families, they came here, some literally risking their lives for a better education and more opportunities for their kids. And now here we are taking that all away. I would like to ask you, Ms. Morris, have you ever been to Rosenauer? Have you seen the programs that we offer these students? Did you know about the We Build Club that I run with the district PT, Natalie Zozera? That club, which is run entirely by volunteers and completely supported by our principal, Teresa Lasitra, gives the students the ability to work with the needy peers all around the district. This year, which was our first year, we made Corsi Rosenhall filters to help the kids with breathing problems. We made soccer plows so that kids in wheelchairs can play soccer and gym. And most recently, they designed and made water bottle holders so that the students in wheelchairs and walkers did not have to rely on others to carry their water bottles. All this at zero cost to the district. Everything needed, including a 3D printer, was supplied by private donors. I also had Kenneth Bradley, a professional football player, come in to give a motivational speech to my flag football team. All this will now be unattainable to many of the students because these programs are held before and after school when they have no access to transportation. I know as a board, you're fighting for our students, and I really appreciate that, and I thank you for all of your hard work. What I don't understand is that the selling of Rosenauer has to be an immediate need. None of the employees, thankfully, are losing their jobs. So we won't be saving money on personnel. Yes, the building will be used. The building will not be used, so there'll be a savings on utilities. But now we're going to need a bus for over 200 students. I'm sure that's going to raise transportation costs significantly. That cost will only increase and be ongoing, not just through this budget, but all the budgets in the future. I understand that the school will now have to be readied for sale, but why not do that as the year goes on after hours? Unless there's already cash offers on the table, selling the school won't be overnight. I know there's a process to sell it. You have to go through the county and the state, but again, couldn't that be done while still using the school throughout the year? There's also no guarantee that the district will even be getting the asking price or that the new buyers won't ask for costly repairs before buying it. I want to applaud the board's decision to sue the state of New Jersey. However, if we do win and get all the funding back, the school will already be sold. In the meantime, Rosenauer students will be increasing classroom sizes in Crawford, and students in other schools will be continued to be educated in trailers. I just want to tell you, though, that I didn't want to come up here and say all of this, but I can't continue to stand up in my classroom and tell my students to stand up for what they believe in while not doing it myself. Nor can I tell them to stand up to bullying when I see our district being bullied by the state of New Jersey. I'm not a hypocrite. Now I know, Ms. Morris, that you didn't come here and demand that they sell Rosenauer, but what you did do was give our board no choice. You did all of that without going around and seeing what could be lost. You didn't talk to the students, the staff, or the parents. All of the educators that I know, they go into this career to help students and their families, not to force districts to close down schools. Anyone who does this, in my opinion, is a hypocrite. Thank you for your time.
I'll sign in a minute. Can you hear me all right? Great. I'm Assemblyman Alex Sawicki. I live in Jackson. I represent Jackson, as well as 12 other municipalities within Legislative District 12. First off, I want to commend all of you for all the work that you've been doing, the fighting you've been doing on behalf of the Jackson School District. I did have a question, though. When was it that you were notified of the Department of Education's decision on the school budget?
was a little after 11, I believe, this morning.
Today.
Yes, today.
Why wasn't it within the 48 hours that we were told in the last meeting you'd be notified?
That would have to be Ms. Morris to answer that question.
Ms. Morris, could you answer that?
It just took longer to review in complete detail everything that had to be reviewed to address the budget. As you well know, it's a very, very large budget and a budget that is being looked at that needs to be recommended as a balanced budget, which necessitated in this particular case at least an $18 million cut. Just took longer than I anticipated.
Okay, but it was over to you to make that decision, correct?
To approve the budget or not approve it, yes.
Okay, great. So my question, though, is if it was over to you to approve it, and frankly, it would have been if they voted yes on it, right? I mean, ultimately, you would have had to have the final say. But it was over to you to approve it. At the last meeting, you said it was over to you to approve it, and that you would need, I think you said something like or probably within 48 hours to do it.
Yes,
The failure to do it within 48 hours took it past the deadline, which was this past Monday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So given that, why is it that the Department of Education put out a press release today that said, our action today is to compel to provide a balanced budget for both districts, ensuring that the failure by these Board of Educations to meet their budget adoption obligations? Why did the Department of Education put a PR out that blames these folks for not meeting the deadline for their budget when it was over to you after last week's meeting to get it done within 48 hours so they could meet it?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I apologize on behalf of the state for that garbage. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that the Department of Education, which we've been pleading with, right, begging for help, all of you, me, Assemblyman Clifton, who also represents this district, have all gone above and beyond to meet with the Department of Education, to testify before Assembly budget committees, to put PR out there ourselves to make sure that everyone's aware of it, to speak on the Assembly floor to ensure our colleagues were aware of what was going on here in Jackson, which we assumed they didn't, right? We did all of that, and then we get down to the final passing of what's a horrible budget, horrible, and everyone here knows it. And what does the DOE do? Nothing to help this town, but they took the time today to put a PR out to blame these folks. That is just unconscionable. So again, I apologize on behalf of the state. I've said it before, the state caused this problem, not any of you. I appreciate all the work that you guys have done. I'll keep fighting for you, I promise. Thank you.
Kathy DePiero. Sorry, I'm slightly late to class. I just wanted to say something about this press release that the state put out. I was actually a little bit encouraged at the last meeting when I heard Ms. Morris speak and tell us that the State Department of Education was hearing what was happening here. This press release was not issued by people who heard anything that was happening here. To call all of you volunteers and the professionals that are paid by the district a failure for this is ridiculous. There's only one failure here. The failure is on the part of the state. It's on the part of S2, it's on the part of the legislators that passed it, who continue to pass it, the governor who's condoned it, the State Department of Education that hasn't done anything about it of substance to help this district, Toms River, Lakewood, other districts with similar problems. That's where the failure lies. It's not with any of you volunteers who serve on this board, as opposed to people at the state who are paid $175,000 and $150,000 a year to do their jobs. So I think that it needs to be publicly said that to release a press release that specifically points the finger at the boards of education as a failure is completely unconscionable. And I think every voter in this district knows where the failure lies and knows where the fix has to be made. And I look forward to hearing what that fix is going to be for other districts that are in the same problem who can't sell a school. So thank you all for everything you've done on behalf of all of the students and all of the staff members. And I'm sorry, and I'm glad to hear our representatives say the same. I'm sorry that the state felt the need to issue a press release like that when it could have just simply put the budgets forward and not done that. So, thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Seeing no one come forward, I need a motion to close public forum.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to move personnel.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Gardella,
Yes.
Mr. McCarron,
Yes.
Mrs. Barocas,
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes. This time, we will open up for board comments, starting with Mr. McCarron.
Just want to say I felt it to be a shame that the state chose against providing additional funding to our district. It amazes me that everyone acknowledges a revenue problem and a failure in the funding formula, but the state took no action to fix the problem. Voting matters. It is time to put people in office that care about our school. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. You know, your input and comments, and I appreciate. Everyone have a good and safe night.
Rendered speechless. I just want to say that, I thank everybody who kind of said publicly exactly what I believe everybody on the board was feeling. It's upsetting to think that we came into this with a hinder of hope just to be placed at the blame. I would say that that's, maybe made to make us feel like we shouldn't be advocating for our students, but I think that we're probably going to do the opposite of that and advocate a little bit louder. And for one, a long-range game plan so we can have the foresight to make sure that we're not making hastily made decisions that people can't wrap their heads around and that affect the students. It's no longer. So, we're going to come together as a board and an administrative team, and we're going to continue to do the right thing for the Jackson students.
Like Mrs. Gardella, I too am speechless, and that's rare for me. But it's probably better if I remain speechless, because what might come out of my mouth might end up on the front page of the newspaper, because we know how much I love the people running our state right now. So thank you all for coming to our defense, and thank you to the state for calling us out as failures, because I wouldn't want you to be embarrassed. It's always better when you just put it on the volunteers of the townships. Way to go. For classless as usual. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out, and Mr. Sawicki for your kind words, and everyone else who spoke as well. As you know, we've been advocating, clearly on deaf ears. I still keep going back to the News 12 when Murphy claimed he didn't even know who we are. Had no idea who Jackson was, but he did know that we had religious schools in the township. It's just very funny. And even the DOE, I just find it very disappointing that this is how our state runs. We pay a state monitor. We actually pay this person to sit there. And no offense to you, Mrs. Morris, it absolutely has to do with the state and how they operate. And I think it is the most disgusting thing, and what they've done to our district is just pitiful. So other than that, everyone have a great night. Thank you.
State overreach over an elected school board can undermine local governance, erode democratic principles, and disregard the unique needs and priorities of the school district. Balancing state oversight with local autonomy is crucial to maintaining the integrity and effectiveness of public education. In my view, the state monitor unilaterally adopting our budget was a complete overreach from an unelected official who does not live in this town and does not know its residents. In my opinion, the state has made up its mind. It wants to target Jackson. Assemblyman Sawicki called this, quote, political, end quote. I have to agree. Governor Murphy is targeting Jackson and its students because of how Jackson votes in elections. This is completely detestable. Mayor Reyna said, quote, using our children as political pawns is shameful and highlights politics at its worst, end quote. Since the implementation of S2, our school district has lost approximately $22.4 million in state aid. As a result, we have had to cut numerous positions. Our class sizes are overcrowded. We have had to eliminate many extracurricular activities, and our students are even forced to learn in trailers. We are unable to make several important capital improvements, and we cannot even upgrade our school buses. While our administration has done its best to get by with limited state aid these past few years, we finally hit a fiscal cliff in the 23-24 school year. Specifically, we had to obtain a $6 million loan from the state to balance our budget. For the 24-25 school year, the Commissioner of Education refused to even recommend a loan for us, which he is permitted to do by statute given our dire fiscal predicament. I find this astonishing given that the state and our underfunding is the sole reason why we are in this situation. Let me be clear. The situation that this district faces has been caused entirely by the state, not by our administrators, not by this administration, and not by this elected board. Even our state monitor has publicly acknowledged this fact. To deny us the absolute bare minimum alone, which would at least get us by for the next school year and permit us to offer students a thorough and efficient education. It is disturbing on many levels. It is disturbing on many levels, and it is the board's position that if required to take the actions that this budget would require, which includes selling Rosenauer Elementary School, cutting even more positions, they want us to eliminate courtesy busing, among other things. It will deprive our students and our district of being able to provide students with a thorough and efficient education for the next school year, which is a violation of New Jersey Constitution. Our students will have to learn in vastly overcrowded classrooms and in certain situations, substandard conditions. Many students will also have to walk to school in and along dangerous roadways with no sidewalks and where cars travel at high rates of speed. As a result of the state's repeated insistence, we eliminate courtesy busing. Now, to be clear, Ms. Permilli has worked diligently to salvage it for the 24-25 school year, and she's commended for that. But nonetheless, they continue to force us to get rid of it. We have explained all of this to the commissioner and state officials more than we can even remember, but they simply do not care. We will continue to advocate. We will continue to leverage every resource available to us, whatever that may be, to fight for our students. You have our word, and we thank you. Have a good night. I'm going to motion to go into closed session for matters of attorney-client privilege. Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. No action will be taken at this time in the exec session, but I do adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
We don't? We could do it? Very good.